You're tuned in to the Clayton Connected podcast in Clayton County, where the world lands and opportunities take off. Welcome to the Clayton Connected podcast. I'm your hostess, Valerie Fuller, Communications Administrator. In the studio with me today is our lovely Director of Elections and Registration, Ms. Shauna Dozier. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So hot topic, early voting alert, June 18, 2024. Runoff election is about to get started. Early voting specifically. Clarify some details in reference to what voters can or cannot do, and more importantly, why.
Well, early voting starts for the June 18th primary special election runoff on June 8th, which is Saturday, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Also, we have early voting going on Monday through Friday, June 10th through June 14th from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And we also have the 10 advanced voting locations that will be open for early voting.
So those 10 advanced locations include the Election and Registration Office, Morrow City Hall, South Clayton Recreation Center, Virginia Gray Recreation Center, Forest Park Senior Center, Carl Rodnizer Recreation Center, Lake Spivey Recreation Center, Lee Headquarters Library, the Flint River Community Center, and Sonal Singleton Gregory Senior Center. Are there any others that may be added or any others that we need to mention?
Just want to mention that initially we put information out with Flint River being closed on Saturday, June 8th, but it will now be open to cast a ballot on Saturday, June 8th.
So starting June 8th, early voting, hit one of those early voting locations. You do not have to wait until June 18th. And also you can find information on the Clayton County Elections and Registration page with everything that we're talking about as far as locations. Please use ClaytonElections.com.
ClaytonElections.com.
All right. So now let's talk about the election date specifically. How can voters cast their ballots, and what's going to be different this time?
Well, it's going to be a little bit different because the general primary runoff and special election is a continuation of the general primary that was held on May 21st. And so when a voter comes in, if they have not cast a ballot for the general primary, then their information will be a little bit different than someone that did cast a ballot during the general primary. For example, and let me just go back and just talk about open primaries. Georgia's open primary state, which means you select a party preference during primaries. And as a result of the general primary on May 21st, if you made a party preference during the general primary, you have that same party preference during the general primary runoff because, again, it's a continuation of the general primary runoff. So things are going to look a lot different when you come in to vote for the general primary runoff election. For example, if a voter selected a party preference of Democrat during the general primary, they now will be eligible to cast a ballot in the general primary runoff on the Democratic ballot. Same thing with the Republican Party. Now, what's different is if you did not cast a ballot during the general primary, or if you selected a nonpartisan ballot during the general primary. For those that did not cast a ballot during the general primary or did not select a party preference during the general primary, you had the opportunity to now select a party preference during the general primary runoff. For the party preference that was selected either Democrat or Republican, you'll vote on the Democratic Party ballot. The same thing for the Republican. However, what looks different between the Democrat and the Republican party preference for the general primary will be if you selected the Republican Party preference and you're voting the party preference for the general primary runoff, only if you live in County Commission District 1, you will have a race to cast a ballot. Otherwise, you'll be notified that there is no further voting going on for the Republican Party. If you voted during the general primary for Democratic and selected that party preference during the general primary runoff, you have an opportunity to vote for sheriff, chair. If you live in State Senate District 34, or County Commission District 1 or County Commission District 3. The other difference between this election is in the general primary, for those that live in County Commission District 1, we had a special election. This time, the ballot, there will not be separate elections. Everything will be on the same ballot this time. So there won't be any separate voting equipment, separate locations where you have to go and cast a ballot. It'll all be on one ballot this time. So we made a lot of changes during the general primary runoff.
Lots of changes. So for more information or questions, they can call 770-477-3372 or at your fingertips, ClaytonElections.com. Don't want to miss that. Lots of good information on the website. So what else do we need to share in reference to what to expect once they get to the voting polls?
Absolutely. One of the questions that we have been receiving a lot is, I voted one party preference during the general primary, and now I'd like to change my party preference for the general primary runoff, and that is not something that you can do. Again, just a reminder that the general primary runoff is a continuation of the general primary. Therefore, you cannot change your party preference between the general primary and the general primary runoff.
Very important details and information. So just trying to keep you informed, trying to make sure all of our voters are clear about what is available to them, the different locations, the timing, the early voting is key to having multiple opportunities to be able to cast your vote. Remember, your voice is your vote. Anything else you want to add?
Yes, one more thing I would like to add. If you have made a request for an absentee ballot by mail, or you are interested in receiving an absentee ballot by mail, we have to have your request in by June 7th.
June 7th. How many people actually voted in this last election?
We had a 14% turnout.
14% turnout.
14% turnout.
So we're encouraging everyone who is a registered voter in Clayton County to please report to the polls. Your vote is your voice. We can get that number up from 14% to, we'd love to see 100% because decisions are being made for you and your area or communities, our community, and for the entire Clayton County. So your voice is your vote. So again, June 18th is the actual runoff election. And of course, we encourage you to take advantage of the early voting alert. Any closing comments?
Just make sure you come out and vote. We're here to serve you and happy to serve.
Thank you so much for joining us, Director Shauna Dozier, Elections and Registration. We'll see you next time. I'm your hostess, Valerie Fuller. Thank you for listening to the Clayton Connected podcast in Clayton County, Georgia, where the world lands and opportunities take off.